Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today I'm going to be taking you through how you can create custom minifigures and your own parts using LEGO Bricklink Part Designer. Now if you didn't already, go ahead and check out the first part of this series, as that just goes over the basics of how you can download these programs and if you encounter any issues, what steps to take in order to avoid them. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So, when you open Part Designer, you'll be shown with this screen. Now, I usually go with the Create New because I find it easier just to start with an empty canvas. If you're wanting to import files, then I obviously import and then that'll open up your blank canvas with the file in there. But usually I would just go with Create New. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to Create New and then we're just going to go start from scratch. And you'll be greeted with a scene that looks almost identical to Part Studio 2.0. However, this is just a lot emptier. So, first of all, if you're looking to create custom parts, as in Lego bricks with no prints on them, you can look to your left and you have a bunch of columns here which will help you add new parts. So if we click on brick, we can see that it's conjured up a little thing here. And so if I wanted to create a brick, I can just left click and drag. I can make that however large I like, and it will appear within the purple box. So if I just do a 2x4, and look at that, beautiful. And we can also do the same thing up in the top left hand corner. We can use that to create plates and also tiles on top of that. Now, this is pretty limiting in the sense that, you can already access these parts within Studio itself. So in order to add some customizability, it also has these little things on the side here, so you can add studs to the top. So maybe if I wanted to make this tile have studs on the end, I can go ahead and just plop those in, and see that's a custom part that I would not be able to get within Studio itself. So here you can see it already coming into handy. And then you can also add a little, like a clip on the end of the thing, axle holes, all that kind of stuff. You've got plenty of options. You can rotate these using your arrow keys. So there we go, that one's coming out the right way. Another nice custom part. You can add a hook if you want, again, rotating the arrow keys. So there's a lot of customizability, and if you really need a specific part, maybe you want to merge two parts together because you need a new part that they wouldn't be able to be connected otherwise. So that's where this can come really handy. Now, if you make a mistake, you've got the eraser tool in the bottom left hand, and this will appear as like a tile. So it can be kind of difficult to use, but if we left click and drag, you see it's a little bit more flexible than the bricks because it goes across more than one stud. And we left click and it's gone. And then that's basically just carved out a nice new custom part for us. So yeah, and you can also use this tool to take chunks out of other bricks if you're looking for some really specialized things. So you could do that and remove the top layer of studs, and then you can just keep, if you really want to, you can just keep shaving down the part like this. And then it becomes smaller and smaller until it's gone. So yeah, that's another option if you want to do that. Now, I'm sure one of the biggest things people want to use this for, however, is the creation of printed pieces and minifigures. So, firstly, if you want to create custom minifigures, first thing we're going to do is go up the top left and click Insert, and you click on Custom Minifigure. You will get this screen that pops up, and you've actually got a lot of customizability here in the sense that you can print pretty much every single inch of this minifigure with whatever you want. Now, for me, I'm going to actually create a custom player skin for one of the sets I'm working on for a video. So if we go and click on one of these image icons, it's going to open up a bunch of screens with us in your image gallery, and you just click on the part you want to put. So I'm going to go with this one, and that should give it a while, and it will transfer over to the minifigure. And you can see on the preview, my minifigure now has a nice custom torso. Now, I'm going to do this with the entire minifigure. If you want, sometimes when you insert the images, it will come up and they'll be a little too large, just depending on the image, like this one will here. So with that, you can move it around, and if you use that, you can then crop and cut the image down so that it will fit within the constraints of Bricklink's Lego minifigure legs. There we go. So I'm going to quickly fill this whole field out, and I will come back to you once we've created the figure. Excellent. So once we've filled out all the fields that we want to for the minifigure, we're going to click on Export to Studio. So export, and that's going to ask us to give it a name by which we can search for it in order to find it in Studio itself. So let's go ahead. This is Puns as MCC 35 skin. So we'll go ahead and name that Puns and click Export. And that will export all of these parts. And now once you get this message, you know it's gone to Studio. It may take a little bit to sync up, but it should be there. And then once it goes through, it's actually quite versatile. You will just be able to pick and choose which parts you want. So now once we're out of that, we're going to click on the X. And then I also would like to do the head. So I want to print the head. So to do that, I can click Import. And this allows me to bring in my own 3D files that I've created or a part from Studio. So I'm looking for the Minecraft minifigure head that looks like a cube. So I'm going to go ahead and search for that. Oh, looks like it's not coming up. There it is. Cube. Insert. So there's a player head here. And now, if I want to put an image on this, I'm going to go up here again to Insert. I'm going to go Image this time. I click on that, it'll open up my gallery. If I scroll down, and just go ahead and grab Puns' face, and it will appear as a little model that I can drag around. It's completely flat, okay? So now I can use the arrow keys to move this around, and I can position this on his face. Might need to squish it down a little bit to fit it into the corner. Nice fit. Release the left click, drag, and you fill the whole thing. And then you just click on it again and press tick, and that is now imprinted. There is no way of removing that from the piece, just to let you know. So I'm going to go ahead and texture the entirety of the head, and I'll come back to you once I've done that. Now that I've textured up that entire head, covered it from head to toe, I'm going to want to take this part across to Studio. So I'm going to click this part, and I'm going to go up to the top right and click Export to Studio. Now, this is going to give me a similar screen to before. However, the difference here is you can either export only the part that you've selected, so that's the only the part with the blue bounding box around it, or if you were to export and deselect that, it will export every single thing on the build plate, which is usually a bit frustrating because then you won't be able to pull them apart and use them as individuals. So I would recommend doing selected parts only. And we're also going to name this part Puns, just so that everything is under the same name. And we're going to export, and now it's exported to Studio. Alright, so now we're going to head over to Studio to complete the process. We'll also do the same thing. I'll export this one as well, so that you can see what that one looks like as well. We'll export. Alright, and now I'm going to open up Studio, and we will see how those parts look in the actual thing. Alright, so we're over in Studio now, and we're going to try and get our custom parts into the scene. So, in the top left-hand corner, I'm going to click on this drop-down that says Main, and that's going to allow me to choose from a bunch of different things. Here we're going to go Custom Parts, okay? And you'll see all the custom parts that you've made will pop up right here. And so if I search for Puns, you'll see that his face and all of his double tapped. You'll see that all the parts come up here. So even the minifigure will separate. You can drag the entire figure in if you really want, and it'll come in as one unmovable part. Or you can just insert him as separate. So go with his leg, go another leg. You can get this. Grab the torso. The arms you will have to get yourself from the library, because because we didn't texture those. So any part that you don't texture won't come across in these custom parts. And then, if we go back here, our other custom part, which is the brick, is also here. So we can drag that one in as well. And with the brick, and puns as well, you can color them however you like. So let's say we want our brick to be bright yellow. There you go, nice bright yellow. And for puns, we select him, all of the pieces here, and we go into the green. I'm going to make him dark green, and that will make any part that's not printed on him appear dark green. We're going to go a nice sort of brown duck tan for the head, so that fits. Then, if we want, you can just switch back to your main parts, and we're going to grab him an arm from the menu, and we're also going to grab him some hands, and that way we can start posing him. Okay, now that Puns is all kitted out with his entire setup, we're going to get him a sword, as this is going to be a battle box mock that I will upload soon. Get him a nice stone sword, and that should automatically clip into his hand. Now, I'm going to get rid of this part for now because we're basically done with it. You can see it will function like a regular part. It might be a little bit strange considering that it's come across from designing. You see how these aren't linking together. In that case, you just got to make really good use of your tools up here, like the move tool, and that will allow you to do stuff like that to clip them together. Anyway, we're done with that for now. So, let's get into posing minifigures a little bit more. So, Bricklink Studio is really good for posing minifigures. You can basically do anything you want to Puns here. So, grab his arm, and you got rotation, so I can rotate his entire body around his hand there. Or, if I didn't want to do that, I can click on him again and just move his arms. So I can say, have that one coming out behind him, and maybe we'll say he's going to swing his sword. So we're going to go up like that. Then we can select the sword as well, and we can rotate that to kind of be angled, as in coming in for a slash. Now, what makes the minifigures pose really sellable is more so the legs. So we're going to click on the legs here. We're going to move his legs around a little bit. We're going to go one leg out, and one leg to the front using these arrows here. Then we can move his entire body like that to make him look like he's coming forward. So how I've done that there is clicking on his little waist thing here, and that's selecting the entire top half and just shifting him forward a little bit. And then, now that he's in this nice cool pose, we're going to select the entire minifigure, and we're going to go move. I'm going to move him upwards a little bit. Hello? Oh.
Yeah, I'm annoying, right?
Yeah, you are very annoying.
That's a red onion.
Yeah.
So why not?
Oh, sorry, I meant brown.
Oh, brown.
Yeah.
I had this and then I'm like, no, that's a red onion. That's a brown onion.
Okay, bye. And we're going to drag him up here. And that's going to take him off the build plate, you see. The build plate's going to follow him because he's the only thing on it, actually. So how about we just chuck a brick into the scene. Well, then we'll go select him again, and we'll move, and he'll go up, and he's levitating now. So he's in a nice, really cool fighting position. And then if we hinge him, we can move his entire body. So I'm going to angle him like that. And then I'm going to have him coming down as if he's just jumped. He's about to slice someone in half. Okay, because this is a battle box mock. And now, sure, this looks good, but it's kind of ugly. Like, the studio style is nice, but it can also be nice to make it look a little bit more refined. So in order to do that, we're going to go up to the bar here and click render. And that's going to open up this panel, which looks very complicated. However, what this does is basically it makes all the minifigures look real. So it's going to make them look nice and shiny and all that. So, we can choose the render quality. Basically, however, if you choose very high, it's going to take a lot longer than medium. So I usually render on medium because it's pretty good, but high can also be okay. I've never used very high because it just takes a long time. But medium's good if you're rendering a lot of things very quickly. Then moving on down, you can choose whether you want the background to be transparent or solid. So if you make it solid, obviously it's going to look grey. But if you make it transparent, that means that when you bring it into another program, it's only going to be puns and everything else is going to be clear surrounding him. You can also change where the light's coming from, what type of light it is. Do piazza, building. I usually just choose building. I've left it on the default settings for a while. If you really want to get finicky with that, then you can go for it. Maybe we'll just choose piazza for now to see what that looks like. With certain lights, you can choose where it's coming from. So if we want to go from the right or the front for building, but we're just going to go piazza for now, which eliminates those. Light following the camera, so that means the light will come out from the camera from the perspective that we're looking at it, which is usually pretty good because that means that you've got a nice bright focus on your front sort of thing. Now you can choose all your rendering types on the device, camera setup, and choose the perspective, so this will just change which way you're looking at the build from. It's usually better to use your middle mouse button and you can pose him around a little bit, so we're going to go like that. We'll just leave it on custom because that's what we want. There we go, get him back in frame. Wonderful. Okay, all that, scratches, you can make it look a bit beat up. All that, we're just going to leave it for now. You can also change whether you want it to be portrait or landscape. Depending on the model, this may suit to be portrait more. Now looking at it actually looks much better, so leave puns in portrait mode. And then basically once we've done that, I might go over animation and POV ray in another video because this is really all the basics you need to know for your rendering. You can choose what file type you want to save as. Usually I go PNG because for a long time I've just left it on the default settings and it seems to do a pretty good job by itself. So once you've selected all the settings you want, you can go in and click render, and that will start the process. It's going to ask you to choose where you'd like to save the file. So we're just going to go and save it right here in our studio folder. Save, and now it's going to start rendering the entire model. So you get a lot of code, but basically all you need to do is leave it to render for a while, and it should come out looking pretty cool. So we'll see you guys once it's finished rendering. Alrighty, so now the rendering has finished, and you can see that looks pretty good, doesn't it? It gives it a much more polished look than if you were to just do something as raw as the studio drawing. So if we just bring that across and compare the two, you can see it just looks a lot nicer. And then you can take this image and bring it into a bunch of different programs. But yeah, so that's basically all we have for today. If you guys are enjoying the series, please let me know because I've been using Studio for a while, and if you really want to see how we can just extend it further, you've been using Studio. Hopefully this is able to help you, and if you want to see more, leave me a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions to the best of my ability. Otherwise, if you found the video helpful, please maybe leave a like, subscribe, support. I'm a very small channel, still trying to gain a bit of a following. So yeah, hope you have a good day everyone, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!